Good evening, beautiful people. Welcome to Zoe Live Radio. It's Monday, it's 6 p.m. And I think we all know what that means by now. It means that it is the time for you to run to the corner of hope and then have a chat with me where I will be sharing inspirational messages. Most importantly, I will be preaching and teaching about hope, everything that rhymes with hope. That's exactly what I will be doing. It's me, your host, Michael Tabane on the Corner of Hope. I am here not with myself, but with a very beautiful person, an amazing person, like may I add. And like I promised you last week, that I will be bringing people who are from different walks of life. And I could not have thought of the most amazing person I could think of than Abalo Jessica Moloi, popularly known as Pabi Moloi. Pabi Moloi, how, how are you doing, my sister? I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to make sure that you know that I know your middle name.
Michael Tabane. I'm great. I'm great. I'm really, really well. I'm really well, and I'm happy to be here with you. I always enjoy having conversations with you. I think on a selfish level, I gain so much from interacting with you. So I know you have me as a guest, but I always come. Look, I've got my notepad and everything. I'm ready. I'm ready to have a good, deep conversation.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this. You know, I think I should change my name, baby, to Michael Tsepo Mama MT Tabane. Why? Because because it's not everybody who gets the chance to talk to wonderful people like yourself. And then like for me, it's quite a blessing to be in the presence of people of your nature, honestly. And then I'm saying that from the bottom of my heart. And thank you so much for clearing your diary and then putting whatever that you were supposed to do maybe at this time, and so that you saw it fit that to talk to me. When I was having a conversation with you during the week, I said to you that I would like us to talk about this concept of a beautiful life, a beautiful life. When at the end of our lives, I believe that if we were to be asked the question, did you live a beautiful life? Mm. What will our answers be? And if the answer is yes, I lived a beautiful life, what would have that life, entailed, so to say, So it's not something that you hear people talking about a lot, this thing of a beautiful life, living a beautiful life. So maybe we should start by saying, is there such a thing as a beautiful life? And if there is such a thing as a beautiful life, what do you think it is?
So when you said that, I think you remember I said, what an interesting concept. Because I think right now it's a big trend to talk about a soft life. We talk about, your best life. But what indeed is a beautiful life? Now, beautiful is a very interesting word because it can be what is aesthetically pleasing. So it's what looks nice, looks beautiful,
Yes.
But when I researched a little bit, beautiful is also about the standard of your life. The camera went, are you back?
Sorry about that.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm 100%.
Yeah, so if you hold yourself to a high standard, or if you have certain standards, it invokes a level of A+ class beauty in your life. And I don't mean that in a way that is exclusive, and I don't mean that in any of the superficial ways that a person may think. But I like to think of things like our values. So when we are operating in the world in a way that is held to the highest standards of our values, and we give ourselves to the world, to our lives at the highest level of our values, I think what comes back or what we vibrate as is a beautiful place. you know?
Love that.
So I know whenever I've lived at a space where I'm constantly and consistently meditating on the things that are of my highest worth and my highest value, then life isn't easy. Life is not going to suddenly magically just become nice and easy. But there's something that happens when I'm holding myself to my faith, to my values, etc., that makes whatever I'm dealing with, it is possible to walk through. So that's what I thought.
Wow, that's beautiful, eh? That's beautiful. A beautiful explanation about a beautiful life. Yeah, because of from what you are saying, there is a lot that rhymes with alignment, hey? Because
Yes.
of it's like you are aligning your values with how you live your life, you know? Because normally when your behavior does not correlate with your values, you get this thing that psychologists call, what they call it, cognitive dissonance.
Dissonance, yeah.
Yeah, so whereby there's a disconnection between who you truly believe you are inherently and then what you are actually doing. And then something will tell you that no, there's an ugliness in how you live in your life,
Yes.
because of there is this conflict. And then when you start to align what you value the most and then with how you do your life, and then it will somewhat, to a certain extent, turn out to be this beautiful thing, this beautiful experience that you're going to have in life. So what would you normally do when you are at the point whereby like your circumstances are not favorable for the values that you hold dear?
I mean, I think part of the process is a real self-analysis. So analyzing how I got to this point. How did I get to this point? How did I get to this? I mean, an example is maybe you're in your work environment and you're really not being favored, you're not being taken care of, you're being overlooked for things that you feel that you qualify for. And really looking at how did I get to this point? I don't necessarily know if lineage or just happens the minute you walk in the door. I think that on a superficial level, that can happen. But then what you bring to the table, what you bring robustly in yourself is what shifts that perception. And it's a lot of the things I'm going to say sound like, oh, yeah, it's so easy. Just shift. It's not. It's really because even
not even close.
What you're talking about, the cognitive dissonance, we have that in our heads, but you know who loves to create cognitive dissonance? Abusers. And if you look at how there has been so much racial abuse for like hundreds of years towards Black people, right? And then as a woman, you look at how society is geared towards a certain kind of gender perception. That is years of cognitive dissonance where I know that I am excellent at my job, but I know haki look ena ko banning. And where does that,
Wow.
So it's not a simple thing that you just wake up and you know how to do. It's also not a thing that you do the first time and then it's over. It's every single day making the decision to get to that space where what your values are and what your behavior and beliefs are kind of match. So it's a very, very ongoing process. So the first thing to answer your question perhaps is to go back and go, all right, so in that one meeting, we were sitting around the boardroom and I had an idea and then Thabo spoke over me and then I didn't say anything. So I didn't get the credit for what my idea was. Thabo got my credit. And over years and years and years, that can create an issue for yourself because you know what you're capable of. You know what you're about. You know what you can give. You know what your value is. You know what your education is. but there's a space there where you're not able to jump into being able to speak up and advocate for yourself. You can, that can be in relationships, that can be in contracts, it can be with your parents. How often with our parents have we not really like engineered, and the parents one, I don't even know why I brought it up, but anyway, how long we can engineer that, I am actually in charge of my life. I can actually make these decisions for myself and whatever that is. So I think that the first step always is to admit that there is some sort of issue, and then to go back and go, what's going on with me? Not what's wrong with me, but what's going on? Let me really listen to my life. What's happening that I allow that, or that I have allowed that? What was I afraid of? What did that trigger in me? What was going on? And I'm telling you, the more we're able to, and this is something I'm only kind of learning, or maybe relearning recently, because also it comes and it goes. And then God and the universe will send you someone else who will be like, ha-ha, and then you have to learn again to be your own superhero in that moment, right? And so I'm learning that again, to listen to my life and go, oh, hang on, I got to this point because I got too complacent, and it was too easy to just take the paycheck, just keep quiet, it's okay. But in the long run, how I feel about my life is not necessarily going to be that beauty. On the flip side of it, if you don't want to be an activist in every space that you're in, if you don't want to, if you are okay doing X for yourself, that's also fine. That's absolutely fine. So it's just about kind of listening to my life and seeing. I mean, I've seen this work for me where I go, I don't enjoy this experience. What am I creators of our lives? So what have I created here? And then seeing how I can help myself heal towards something different.
Why I love why I love the explanation that you spoke about, because you remind me of this it's a beautiful concept that I think I remember the guy who came up with it. It's called like circumambulation. So what he says is that life is about the circumambulation of self. So circumambulation is an ancient call it ritual of circulating around a sacred object. So like the Egyptians in that time, they will actually circle around Buddha or whatever the sacred object might be at that point in time. So what Plato, it was Plato, he said that life is about the circumambulation of self. So what happens is that you circle around yourself until you get to the center. You circle around yourself. Like you said now, you said, no, I'm figuring this, I'm relearning it. It's not like this lesson didn't come before. It did come. But remember, it found you as a different version that you are now. So obviously, like you would have perceived it a little bit different than you are perceiving it now. So your life is about circumambulation of self. You're gonna circle around Pabi over and over again until you get to the center, until you get to that Pabi Moloi that all of us will actually see as a blessing. However, each and every circle that you make is an improvement, and then it's getting you closer, a step closer to who you truly are, and then there is no any other way to learn than to
I want to say something there. I agree with you, and I think that it's so interesting. In the work context, if anyone's followed my career, there was a very specific time in a very specific radio station where things were happening to me. Things were, and it was happening to me badly. Sure. And recently I found myself not at the radio station that I work at. Please don't make connections there where it's not. I love where I work now. But in a different part of my life where there's a possibility of the same kinds of things happening to me. But yes, you're right. So I'm now in a different space. So now as a mother, can I allow that to happen to me? Now as, a different kind of headspace over the last 10, 20 years, will that I allow that to happen to me? But why I wanted to jump in was to say, at every point, you still have value. You still have value. So you're not, I think there's a destination fixation that we have where, once I find my purpose, then I can help people. Or once I've got qualification, and yes, maybe your reach will be different once you have that job. And maybe, you'll be able to step into a different role once you have that, whatever it is. But you still have value. You intrinsically, just because you were born, just because you were a glint in your dad's eye and a butterfly in your mummy's tummy, you still have value. You still have value. And that experience holds value. And so I thought that was just something I wanted to put in there. Yes, you're going on a journey somewhere, but even in that moment where it's not haikopani, you still have value.
You still have something to contribute. And that's very important because, like you say, we're not going to wait for a thing to happen before we can make our contribution. And I love that. And I love that because of wherever you are, there is a version of your best. Wherever you are, there is a version of your best. And then I like the way you're putting it to say that, please, guys, do not wait for the moment whereby everything is aligned, everything is coming together, and then it's all, everything it's like all bed of roses and stuff. You don't have to wait for
about it. When does that ever happen?
It never happens, actually. It never happens.
You're constantly going to be hoping for something or holding out from celebrating yourself or acknowledging yourself because, the paint in the garage is still not the way I want it to be. So I'm not there yet. You are exactly where you are. You are there. Where you are.
No, I love that. So Pabi, here buaka this thing of a beautiful life. Do you honestly believe that you can live your life at the state of a beautiful life without actually knowing yourself, without self-identity being a thing that you prioritize? In your honest opinion.
I'm curious to know what your definition of knowing yourself and self-identity is.
Yeah, so my version of self-identity is nothing else but the idea that I'm living my life in a way that is addressing the things that are important to me. Because there are so many things that are noble out there that I can take part in, but not all of them are important to me. And not all of them are actually the things that can be served by what I can offer. But we can offer so much. And then whatever that you can offer is not something that you can offer in all spheres of life. You'll be able to offer that specific thing that you are able to offer can only have value to certain things, and it won't have value on other things, So then I believe that self-identity to me is that thing of living my life in a way that the things that are innate, that are natural, that come natural to me are of value to those specific spaces. When I live like that, then I feel like I'm getting closer to knowing who am I.
That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting.
Very interesting, right there.
I'm in a space where, I think it's kind of back to that having an examined life. When you examine your life and really think about what you're doing, what you're about, where you come from. And I've obviously watched years and years of Oprah, but when you listen to your life, you know what I'm saying? It's a very real thing. I listen to my life. I'll give you an example. I hate clutter. My son's going to shout at me because we're not allowed to say the word hate, but I really do. Clutter, guys. And there's a couple of spaces in my house at the moment that are full of clutter. And so I'm listening to my life and going, why am I allowing this thing to happen? Because that's not a beautiful, I don't feel beautiful when it is like that, you know?
Yeah.
And there's several things. It's about, am I valuing myself enough to wake up on the weekend and to say, mukhatala or no mukhatala, I'm going to go and tackle that so that tomorrow's Pabi can enjoy the fruits of the labor. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get you. Yeah.
Yes. So am I valuing myself enough to make that sacrifice and do that for myself, to face that fear of whatever else is going on and to tackle that issue, you know, or even to put up a boundary and say, you're not going to talk to me like that, whoever's trying to bring me down, you know? So I think, yes, a beautiful life is absolutely it hinges on what you're saying, that if you know what you're about and you listen and you honor that. Isn't that a nice word? You
I love it. You honor it. Yeah. Why tompa?
Waitomba. I think that's such a powerful thing that I don't know how much we're taught or reminded that actually no, if no needs to be no, or yes, if yes needs to be yes, to things that bring you light, that bring you joy, that bring you peace, you know? And so I don't know if you're ever necessarily, I don't know. Let me think about this. I want to say, I don't know if you're ever necessarily just going to know who you are, but I do think on some level,
I agree.
I think on some level that willingness to examine life and to explore what you're about can give you the answers to what a beautiful life for yourself can be.
It can be, yes. Yeah, and I agree with you, but because even like as you are aware that I do mentorship programs for different people. So one of the pillars of my mentorship program is this thing of self-discovery, right? And then in the whole nodule of self-discovery, what I'm teaching them is that it's almost always difficult to know who you are, to say that I am this or I am who and who, right? But I said that it's a little bit easier to know what is important to you, what matters to you, you know, because of things that matter to you are very easy to detect. How do you detect them? The things that give you sleepless nights. Give you an example. There are 1,000 things that can go wrong around you, but 4 or 5 things will actually take your attention. That means that those things are important to you. So, and then I was like, okay, once you figured out the things that are important to you, then it means then it's a showcase that there are certain things within you that can do something about those things. And then those things that I'm talking about that are within you, I'm talking about your gifts, it can be your talents, it can be your skills, it can be your temperaments, it can be your, things that are actually, part and parcels of your personality, or your character, so to say, that can actually aid you in resolving these problems or these things that matter to you. Then I said, your task is to actually work on yourself to become better at solving those problems. So that those problems become less and less and less. And then before you know it, you end up becoming the person who is an equal of the person who can resolve those problems.
Yes.
And then you'll be like, "Flip, man, I actually figured out who I am to a certain extent by only solving things that matter to me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly
so that's how I actually
that's what I'm saying about this cluttered space. And that's like a very basic example, but this cluttered space, I need to work on myself to become the kind of person who would sacrifice XYZ to be able to match that thing. And it's interesting, a big thing is discipline. In my life, I learned discipline quite young. And I realized how discipline begets freedom. Discipline gives you freedom. And so, yes, a beautiful life is not a lazy, easy life.
Sure, sure.
Okay?
I think that disclaimer is important. That disclaimer is important. Yeah.
Beautiful life is not a lazy, easy life. A beautiful life, beauty, value, joy, space, breathing space. It requires a lot of work and 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 the right kind of work. So finding people like yourself to be in the orbit of, so that you always call me to a higher version of myself. I have to come correct.
Ah, man. Please say that again.
You know,
Please.
you
This thing of
call
calling you to a higher version.
to a higher version of myself. So when I'm in your orbit, and you know there are 2 or 3 other people that you've come to my radio show with, and I keep an eye on you guys all the time, because you almost make me have to sit up straight. You call me to a higher version of myself. And I think that that's not an easy thing to be in. It's easy to be it's to be a low vibration. It's a lot easier. So
it does not require any effort. Yeah.
I beg your pardon?
I was saying it does not require any effort to be a low vibration person.
Yeah. It's very oof. You almost have to be that coach for yourself, where you go, all right, team Pabi, right? Because you know your mind, your body, your spirit, and then your mother, teacher, taxpayer, whatever. You have to say, team, right? These are the goals. This is how we're going to do it, and this is what it's going to take to win the Soweto Derby. And so
that's a nice example. I love that example.
So yeah, and the coach isn't easy on you. The coach doesn't say, shame, you don't feel like playing. Yeah, it's fine. Go chill. The coach calls you to be your higher self. So you've got to do that for yourself. And it's a very important thing to try and surround yourself with people who can do that for you. And I'll tell you something that's very interesting to me. You know, I'm a person who kind of came into being in like the late 90s, and there was a big trend around upwardly mobile, right? So now we're upwardly mobile, where BEE points, all of this. And so you must be around people. I had a boss at one of the radio stations who looked at my car and was like, people aren't going to think I pay you enough if you drive this car. And I said to him, you don't pay me enough, actually. So you see the dissonance there, where being elevated could look like some of these superficial things, which if it is part of your value to live in a certain kind of home or to have a certain kind of car, I think that that's important to own that, right? But let's not get into the mud of that's the elevation. We're talking about the core of you. We're talking about when you're in that expensive car, you're not still crying because you are in misalignment with yourself, that you're doing business that hurts people and that hurts you. But you're still in that thing that people see is elevated. That is not what we're talking about at all.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's one of the things to put as the warnings of a sure way of not living a beautiful life. When you start to actually try to appease people, but you know very well that you are not living in your element. And then I think that's not a way to go about it when you want to live a beautiful life.
Yeah.
And then there's a word that I normally attach a beautiful life to. That word is happiness. Happiness, being happy. that is something that we cannot always achieve. Sometimes, but it does rain on your parade. Sometimes things go south. Things are just not going your way. Clients are not paying, invoices are not being returned. All these things that happen.
I know.
So, yeah, exactly. So then, how do we get to this beautiful emotion called happy, even when things are not going our way? In your experience, what did you try to do? I know like we are all students to these things, but to the best of your knowledge, how you try to fight this thing.
Yeah, happiness is a very tricky one. And in fact,
How so?
I gave up trying to be happy a long time ago. I think
Okay.
contentment, joy. I think there are other things. There are other things. So happiness for me,
Now you're talking.
Yeah, I think that it can be quite a fleeting thing. And I think if we are constantly looking for that rush or that high of happiness, we might actually miss out on what's happening in life. So I understand we're trying to look for some sort of peace. That's what I now am defining that as, because I'm most like everything is peaceful, everything is okay. Even if it's not okay, the invoice hasn't come through, and so bank wants me to make my payment. I'm going to tell so and so bank, hey, listen, I haven't had a job for 6 months, and I'm aware of my debt with you, and so hold your horses. Now, what does that do? That is going back to our self-examined life. So as a disciplined person, you approach it, you face the thing, you don't get nervous and you let the bills pile up. You face it, you say what you need to say. Then let it go. Like you're applying for the jobs, you're doing what you need to do. I mean, you can't carry that.
What else can you do?
What else can you do?
Yeah.
What else can you do? And I found that to be quite a powerful place. Another thing I'm learning about is radical acceptance. Radical acceptance. And so,
radical acceptance. Okay, cool. Please stay on that.
Amogela. That se etsahalang. Like,
oh man, I love it.
That's it. And Muto. Oh, Juang. Oh, Juang. That's it.
And what I've learned about this acceptance thing, just a little bit about this acceptance story. What I've learned, Pabi, is that what brings agony and pain and frustrations is not actually the incident per se, but our defiance in accepting what is actually happening. Our illusion of reality, wishing that things were in a certain way, not accepting them as they are, is the actual thing that brings us the most frustrations and the most pain, not the actual thing itself. You know what I mean?
Right.
You wish it was like this, not like that. You know what I mean? And that, circling around that, is the thing that can bring you the most pain possible. And then you're gonna be bouncing back and forth during, and then it's like it's futile. Like it does not help you in any way when you start to think like in that fashion.
I mean, really, what it is that you're not living in reality. You're not. You're not grounded in reality. Yeah, it's a very, very difficult place to grow into just radical acceptance. And I think
love that.
It's similar to forgiveness, where it's probably something that you're going to have to do on a regular basis, that you'll find yourself going back into a fantasy land or into hope or even into worry or despair. But if we can remind ourselves that, you know what, this is the scenario as it is, and with then the eradication of all of that wanting something that isn't, you find yourself more able to accept what is, then you are in the moment. And in the moment, that's where happiness is. That's where your joy is.
That's where the magic happens. That's where the magic happens. And I love how, yeah.
The therapist talks about the holy magical moment that's all we have. She's like, this is all we have. You're looking at your clock thinking 7 o'clock, yeah. No. You don't have 7 o'clock. You don't have last week Tuesday. This is all we have. This is it.
Yeah. What is the moment, Pabi? What is the moment in your own in the dictionary of Pabi Moloi? What is the meaning of the word moment? The reason why I'm saying in the dictionary of Pabi Moloi is because of I want you to to tell me what you think it is. You know what I mean? Not to
what? As a person, what I've heard, yeah. So as a person who sometimes who has a lot of anxiety, because I'm quite future focused, right? So if you believe in star signs, I'm Capricorn. Now the Capricorn is a goat, Pudi, who's on the side of the mountain like this, always trying to get somewhere. So I'm always I'm making a plan. I'm always thinking. I'm always like strategizing. So I get anxiety. And one of the things that I learned is that just look at your 2 feet on the floor. That's where your feet are. That's it. Now, identify around me. I've got this Lego thing that my son made for me for my phone. I identify that. I've got my remote for my ring light. I've got my bottle of water. So I identify these 5 things. And they really exist. That's it. And I take a deep breath. All right, I can feel myself on my chair. That's it. I'm looking at you with your burgundy and navy and with both black chairs. And that's it. And that's the moment. We're here.
Oh, man, that's beautiful. Do you know why do I find that beautiful? I'll tell you why I found it beautiful, and then I'll tell you why I asked you that question. Hey?
Yes, please.
What I found it beautiful is that you did not mention chronological time.
Yes.
You never mentioned like a date or like 10 o'clock or whatever the case might be, right? Because of a lot of people, they think that a moment has to do with chronological order of things. And I don't believe that. I believe that, like a moment is that thing that happens when your emotions and your everything, your whole self is immersed in the now.
Right.
Immersed in the now. Like you say, I'm watching you, Tepo, you're wearing this, we are talking to each other, and there's these things around me. You are immersed in the now. Nothing exists except what you and I are doing like now.
Yeah.
And then I believe that that's one of the ingredients of the beautiful life, because I promise you, anxiety and all those other things, they don't live in the now. Like the now is the kind of sacred space that does not have time for things like anxiety, because of you are anxious when you're thinking about something that is there, that is in the past or in the future. You know what I mean? Exactly. So when you are immersed in the now and then with your whole self into it, I can promise you that you will find yourself in a beautiful state almost all the time.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that I've been learning myself. That's the thing that I've been learning myself all the time. So, yeah.
I know that is probably one of the biggest lessons that I'm here to learn, because I find that so challenging. I find that so challenging. And I know that when I get it right, it is the most fulfilling. More than anything else, it is the most piece of thing surpasses. It is so amazing. And so I if we're talking about building a beautiful life, then I think to myself, okay, I know that is a thing that really makes me feel connected, makes me feel alive, feel sacred, holy, and present. So how do I build to get there? And it's exactly what we were saying before. Now, how do I get to be that person? And I know that's how I discovered exercise, because exercise does that for me. I can run, and then I have what's going on. and playing with my son. Like if you get on the floor, and children are the best at being in the moment. The best. Children don't care.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
And it's the most healing, most beautiful thing to be able to just look into somebody's eyes and play with that, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But you're there, you're in the moment. It's extraordinary.
Yeah. So, Pabi, I'm going to ask you this question, and this is the question that I asked you. I asked everybody who was part of the panel when you were interviewing me, in your show, and then you dodged the bullet. You didn't want to answer me. You sent the question back to all of us, because I remember there were like 3 of us part of that conversation, and I asked the question, and we were like, I hear you, but what do you say about it? Like you sent the question back to us. So today, I'm going to make sure you don't dodge the bullet.
Oh, no, you're making me so nervous. All right, here we go. Right.
No, it's like it's quite a nice question, actually. I don't know why you did not want to answer me that day. So I asked you, I said that, Pabi, if it happens that today, like in this moment, right, everything that people identify you with was taken away from you. Your public status, the awards that you've won in your life, maybe the certain material things that you managed to accumulate in your life, everything was taken away from you. Everything that we know Pabi Moloi for was taken away from you. What will be left of you? Don't dodge that bullet again, please.
I don't think I can. Sure. I don't think I can. I mean, that's a very difficult...
it's not an easy question.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to speculate on because, I don't have a before, if that makes sense. So I started working when I was 4. I started having this kind of life from that age. So I don't have a before like the fame. Yeah. I don't have that. I was born into that. Yeah. Yeah. So it'd be challenging to answer from that point of view. But I know for sure that if my public status was taken away, I would still have everything that I hold value in my private status, right? So I have an extraordinary family.
Man, that's beautiful.
Relationship with my siblings.
That's beautiful.
I have just the best of the best of the best little boy in the world, and everything that comes with that. So I'm very active in all of those private spaces. So you don't see me, at the tuck shop making hot dogs, but that's a very valued, hallowed space in my life, for example, that hopefully I would still have. If I didn't have any of that, now that's tough. Now I don't know. Now, do I still have money?
And then there's a serious reason why I'm asking you that. But
yeah.
And the reason why I'm asking you that, like that question, and why this question is very important, and I know it's a very deep question, is the kind of question that you can answer me now, but you find out that as you start to think about it, more answers will come. You know what I mean? As you start to settle down. And then I gave you an example on your show. I don't know if you remember. I said, Pabi, one of the things you should pride yourself in are the beautiful things you have done in private. Beautiful things that you've done when the spotlight was away from you.
Yeah.
And because that tells you that this is just who I am. This is the thing that I am get to do without actually having anything to gain, like from a recognition standpoint, so to say. And then what happened is that, like a week before our show with you, there was a gentleman who called on your show to tell you that he was a security guard, and then you parked your car, obviously, and then he was watching over your car, and then you came back, obviously, and then you were like, hi, sir, how are you? What do you do? And then how, why are you doing the work that you're doing and whatnot? And then you ended up telling that guy that, giving him some encouragement. And the guy came on the show and he was like, Pabi, today I'm a manager where in a different company doing different things. Thanks to you, I am there. And I'm like, wow, that is actually the essence of the gifts that you were born with, to speak life into other people's lives, you know.
Oh
And then
man.
once you realize that God, yeah, once o nagana gore, oh, Modimo o mphile all these things just to extend the things that I normally do in private, you know. And then in that way, no one can actually crush you. Like no one will actually ever be able to touch you in public. Why? Because of you are extending the very things that are very core to you, and you will do them in private. And you won't even see the need to do other things for recognition, for publicity, for some lousy trends and all of those things. Because the things that really put you in that beautiful state, in that state where you feel like you're living a beautiful life, are the things that you normally do when no one is watching. That's why I asked you that question.
That gentleman, and just how it came out of the blue that he called. I didn't know, you know.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't even know if I remember that you know what I mean? It was just like one of the things that happens. And I'll tell you, there's another young lady who also took me by surprise. She was a waitress at one of the places that I take my little boy to, and let me not lie, I used to go there even before. There's a ball pit and a play center, but they make the nicest ribs. So I used to go before I had children. Anyway.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, now you know you love ribs. Okay.
So I bumped into her, met her, and she was our waitress or the manager. I think she was the manager at the restaurant. And I said, you should go be a model. You're stunning. You look like, you know, you should go be a model. And she sent me a message saying she quit her job and she went and she pursued modeling and now she models and this and that. And it's such an incredible, it's such an incredible thing, I think, when people also find it of value to come back to me and tell me some of these things. And I think that that's so vital for us to do for each other, because you don't know what I'm going through, that I need that environment too. So
and
I think
it's a beautiful thing, Pabi.
it's such a beautiful thing. It's such a beautiful thing. And I find people have such beautiful spirits generally. You know, I think, yes, you'll find a few who have decided to be nasty people. And it's a decision, eh? They have decided that in this way I shall protect my wound in a child. In this way I shall protect and guard my ego because of pain I have felt. So they become nasty people. But in general, I'm telling you, like, look at our interactions over the years. We just like click. We just got it, you know. And I feel so I feel so built by what you've just told me.
It's beautiful. No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But go high where I come from, Bangkok. There's a little girl that stays next door. Go high, Teboho. Yeah, Teboho Mwati. So that beautiful girl, a very young girl, like she's now 16, 17 now. But when this happened, she was like 15, 2 years ago, I think. So then she was aware that I am on your shows and sometimes we talk and whatnot. And then I started to notice her, like she had the haircut and then some glasses and everything, you know what I mean? I'm like, so then I'm like, okay, I love your look, but this look looks like the look that you have with the glasses and everything. It looks like someone that I know.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, my role model is Pabi Moloi. Okay. And then why the look and everything, you know? I know everything about her just gives me hope about life. Everything about her just makes me feel like I'm special too. I've never spoken with her. I never even text her. I've never even seen her live. But everything about that woman, it makes me so happy. It makes me feel like, Lina, I am somebody who can be recognized one day, you know? And I'm like, you know what Pabi will tell you? I'm like, I don't like Pabi and I have been for some time. What I can tell you is that she will appreciate that you appreciate her, but I can tell you that she will really advise you to actually be you, be yourself, whatever that you believe you represent, be that. And then people in different spaces, they will actually recognize you, you know. Not to say that I don't love the look that they have. It's quite nice. It's a beautiful look. But I'm saying that, like, make sure that it's something that you're comfortable with. If it's the comfortable look that you like, then for sure. And then she's like, yeah, so but that lady gives me so much hope. And I'm like, how did it happen that somebody that young, who does not actually know that much about you, obviously, get that? And that got me to this thing of energy. I'm like, okay, it means there is a certain energy that Pabi elicits when she talks on her shows. There's a certain genuine, effort of wanting to bless people with what she says. Hence, some people receive it that way. And I think when we talk about this thing of a beautiful state, we should not exclude the power of the energy that we elicit when we are genuine about our intentions.
I mean, the Bible talks about out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So,
yeah,
I think that we all have that real capacity to be encouragers and to be givers. When you talked about this being about hope, I remember there was a thing that I was involved in once, and they had the Hope Ministries, and hope stood for helping other people everywhere. And so
like that.
So when we are of service, when we are helping others, small ways, big ways, whatever, but genuinely transmitting that energy, I think that it's because it's from what's within us. And again, it goes back to every beautiful thing we've been talking about. If you're able to examine, if you bump into me and you're like, hey, Sissy Pabi, I'm like, excuse me. I've got to be able to go back and examine why am I so nasty? Why am I irritated? Why, and then turn that around or do whatever I want to do with that. So I think that it's so incredible to be able to be on a very dynamic path of self-discovery and dynamic radical acceptance. It's dynamic because every day it's going to come in a different form or
I love it.
Something. There's something that I wrote here that I wanted to say to you. Oh, and you keep talking about alignment. So it's aligning your values, aligning yourself with your higher potential self. That makes a very, very big difference.
Exactly. So before I close, if you allow me, I want to read some few comments from some of the people who are streaming live. If you allow me.
I've been holding my grapes. I want to eat my grapes. Please excuse me, guys.
No, for sure. So everybody is happy with the conversation that we're having. Someone saying that lovely brains. Also, I don't know if they have a scanner to scan your brains, but they say you have lovely brains. Somebody saying that they're just commenting on the point you made of at every point of your life you have something of value to add. Lerato saying that discipline brings freedom. And of course, you spoke about discipline, Pabi. So somebody says that the two of you are amazing. Oh, okay, I mentioned as well on this. Okay, thank you guys for mentioning me.
Big up yourself. Big up yourself.
Yeah. So somebody says your words bring life, Pabi. He said you came to their school, and then Bridget Moema, she said that you once came to their school, and they were humbled by how humble you are. Actually, they say the reason why you are there this way is because of your aroma changes the room. Love that. So yes, there are still other conversations that are, like other comments, but we are left with 1 minute. So then I will definitely attend to them and answer each and every single person one by one. But however, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Before you thank me, because I know you're going to, but I want to thank you. Because I think that part of what makes a beautiful life is also being able to experience the things that bring you that inside vigor. And sometimes we're not able to do that in our everyday lives. Maybe you live with someone who doesn't think the same way as you do. Maybe your work isn't necessarily the space you can do this. But in our quiet times, in our meditative times, in our times where we watch the inspirational videos or whatever we do, and in the times that you get pulled, the universe pulls you into these spaces, and so I feel really appreciative of you pulling me into this space and reminding me of some of the ways of expression and connection that got me to this point and that will get me further. Because in this, I told you, I'm taking notes as well. I'm learning too. So thank you. And thank you for everybody watching.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pabi. I don't know what to say. What I'm a cry baby. So, but it's okay. So, so thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me. I appreciate it. I can't thank you more. So keep on blessing people the way you do. And now, if you doubt the positivity that you have, on the lives of the masses, I don't know. You have so much impact on so many people. Ones that you heard from and the ones that you don't even know of. So, and that's quite a beautiful thing. Have an amazing evening and stay beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Live a beautiful life.
You. Thank you so much. Keep well. Bye. Thank you.
Sharp. Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. That was Pabi Moloi and myself. See you some other time. Next week, Monday, 6 p.m. That's the time, and then that's the day to be. Thank you so much.